If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me once again, I have Josh. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. We got the kids in swim lessons. It's been the first couple they've had in a while, so we just got back from that, and
that's
a
nice.
little tired, but they're easing into it.
Yeah, you get ready for the holidays?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Just we're gearing up. I'm actually this time of year is always fun because it's just like you know, like we're all like the brakes are kind of installed and like when things are gonna be happening and when you're gonna be seeing people and all that. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I love seeing friends and family for the holidays because just getting together, having good time, sitting down. My family loves to play like card games and board games, and it's always a good time because snacks are out, the drinks are flowing. There's appetizers that people drop onto the table, and we just play games for a couple hours, and it's a really good time.
Yeah, no, I totally dig doing that as well. It's a good way to just bring people together.
Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe we could talk about bringing people into role playing, because a lot of the games that we play, these board games, these card games, stuff like that, they've got a lot of various aspects of tabletop role playing. And I think it's a really interesting way to sort of bring people into doing what we love to do, what we love to talk about here.
Yes, I totally agree. We talk so much about the game theory and how to make the games work, and we talk very little into how to get it so new people can enjoy those games with you to expand your gaming group.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we talked about how to make like gritty, dark, realistic games and how to make them fantastical and dangerous? And I don't think that's really helpful at all if you're trying to get new players to play. They need to learn.
It's a wide and varied subject, we can't cover all the subjects every week. So this week we're going to talk about bringing in new players.
Yeah, new players. Introduce grandma to gaming.
Grandma to gaming. I don't think my grandma would appreciate it or enjoy it at all, but
yeah. Well, my mom would probably really enjoy a little bit of gaming, and she's a grandma, so that's qualification enough.
There you go. Touche.
There we go. Yeah, I think like I just said, we've talked about board games, we've talked about card games, we've played a couple, me and you, like murder mystery games, social card games where you gotta sort of communicate with other players and work out what's going on. Board games that have adventures baked into them.
Yeah, we've played varying degrees. We've played ones that are cooperative, where you're against other people. You're trying to win the game itself. We've also played varying difficulties of games. I've played Spirit Island with you guys, which is a very complicated game. I think some people enjoy it more than others at the table, and which is unfortunate because I love it. But
oh, it's super fun, but it takes at least an hour or two before I remember how to play it. That's the problem I have with that game.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh, I've been screwing up for the past hour. I hope nobody notices. But like all of those games, they have sort of a lot of DNA that is similar to the tabletop games that we talk about every week. But some of the people that are willing to play a board game or a card game don't think that role playing is like the same thing. They think of it as something different, as the other. And I think that with a couple of simple changes, if we can like dumb it down, make it a little bit easier, present it in the right way, that you can keep a lot of that otherness away and make it fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I know we're going to talk about some simple games, but even if you go back to like how you kind of trapped like Ashley and Paul into playing D&D, you started with Hero Quest. I mean, which is basically D&D light. So I mean, like, there are board games that can be like the gateway into role play.
Absolutely. Well, and I think Ashley had already been playing D&D on the side, and it was more trapping Paul into it.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It was all a clever ruse to get Paul into.
It's all a clever ruse, and now he's like, "Let's play some Daggerheart. Let's do this game. I want to create a character," and that's fun because you can bring somebody into a new hobby, bring somebody into the whole situation. It's fun to see new voices, new thoughts in the role playing space. But yeah, like Hero Quest was a really really nice gateway for that because you do have simple characters. You've got a board. There's a turn order. The dice are very specific. You don't have like a bunch of different types of dice.
Yeah, it's role play without you playing the role. You are just literally playing the character and attacking stuff.
Yeah, it is very combat forward. And that is a type of tabletop game.
Yes.
But what if we wanted to do something that was more role play, more social?
Well, let's just go ahead and dust off that old 75 page, 38 month chronicle and let's dive right in, right?
Yeah. Like the stories that we could put out there are insane. And like, so I did a couple of quick Googles looking for like simple role playing systems. And the top entry in half of them was D&D 5th Ed. And I don't think that's a good idea.
You know what? To be fair, it's not the worst idea.
It's not. It's absolutely not.
It's not like you're going to one of like the lost D&D eds, like in like 4th Ed or 3rd Ed. Okay.
No. I mean, it's much simpler than other games that are available, but I think that like there's a lot of rules in there. You could play a dumbed down version of D&D.
Not one of the Pathfinder style systems where like
no, those are just as complicated, if not worse. I've been playing Pathfinder on my Tuesdays games, and there's a lot of options. So much that seasoned gamers that I play with are like, "Oh, you can do that every week," and I don't think that that's a good idea for a first time player.
But I digress. I am obviously being a little bit facetious. It is a little bit. Even if that were your first game, which again, I'm not saying it's a terrible game, it is pretty complicated compared to what you have written down here.
Yeah, I was thinking, if I'm trying to get an aunt or a cousin who isn't into games to start playing it, I don't want to have them sit down for an hour to create a character sheet. Right? And like walking through all the steps and like this is what your character is. That's why I went back to the simple character. I know we've talked about this before. I've played this. I've run a couple of games in it. It's really easy. It's Cairn. Cairn has 3 stats plus health. That's it. It's a real quick, and then all of those stats are a roll under system. So you want to do a strength thing, you just have to roll under your strength score and you succeed. So the higher your score, the easier it is to do it. Same thing with Dex, same thing with Wisdom. It's real nice and simple. And because of its simplicity, there's not like a bunch of skills, there's not a bunch of different ideas. It's the kind of system that the people at your table who have never played before understand big number is good. Roll the same dice for everything. As long as I score under that roll, I've succeeded. Only do stuff when asked to. There's no classes. There's no specialties. It takes literal seconds to create a character. And that's what you want when you're bringing somebody in for the first time, somebody that doesn't know the system, is interested. Hey, we're doing a lot of games. I hear you tell stories and do your role playing. Like, hey, yeah, sure. Would you like to try some? We can set something up in a couple of seconds rather than, make something complicated.
Yeah, so I think as much as the system being simple or easy to understand, like that's a great way to make it where you're not asking for a bunch of rules and to get people going quickly. And I know we're going to touch on this later, but the type of story you tell is almost more important than the system you run.
Oh, absolutely. It's I want to look at this in terms of you're not going to start telling the story until the characters are created, right?
Yes.
So if you've got somebody that's new that doesn't know if they're interested, they've got sort of a feeling, hey, I'd like to try this. I've heard good things. What is this about? Okay, start with something simple. We got to create a character. I'm planning on doing this sort of story. I can tell this sort of story. Now, when we talk about running a session 0, the first thing you want to do is, of course, tell your players, hey, this is the theme of the story, or this is where the story is taking place. This is the style of story that we want to tell. Like, I'm going to tell a detective story, or I'm going to tell a dungeon crawl, or this is going to be a cross-country adventure. But we're in space. We're fighting robots. Whatever it is, you tell your players first. It helps them create what sort of character they'd like to play during that. So absolutely, the type of story that you're going to tell is very useful to get people interested in creating the character. The type of character that they create has to be easy to do.
Yeah.
So what sort of stories, just general, we don't have to get it complicated into the story. I think we can go a little bit more into that once we talk about like writing the story. But what sort of stories would you tell for a holiday party with family and friends?
I would clearly tell a story that would be analogous to the Grinch that stole Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. That sounds great. Holiday themes are hilarious.
The joke in our group, because Jared hates the Grinch that stole.
He can beat the Grinch up.
Around this time of year, we always go like, "Are you telling a story? It's going to be taking place, in Whoville. There's going to be a little bit."
Well, like you could do. Santa Claus has been captured by Nazis, or like it's a snowy Christmas time, and there are Santa can't come because sharks are swimming in the sky because of radio.
There's all sorts of things you could. I actually think in introducing people to the gaming concept, something that's you want it to be more relatable to them. So clearly doing something that is like the 12th king of Narnia, like not Not going to be
Super high
relatable.
fantasy?
No, not really going to be relatable. It's also really not everyone's like jam. All right. So you, what is more relatable and more fun is to take it to a story that you kind of have some concept to, or even like heavily go through inspiration from like a movie that people are like very fond of or know, and use that as like your backboard. This is like one of those places where I would say 100% just like, go for it, because the goal is that like you're trying to show, you're trying to show that like you have what it takes to tell a story and to entertain. And if it's somewhat relatable, or at least recognizable by somebody, it's more fun to do the stuff within the game, I think.
Yeah. You can absolutely do like Halloween or holiday and movie related stuff, something that people know. A fun idea would be that all the players are like extremely low level. They are apprentices or whatnot, and they've all been left at the keep during the holidays while the wizards and knights, kings are away. And because the knights and the kings are away, a whole horde of massive trolls is coming to sack the kingdom, which you can't possibly defeat on your own, even together. So you need to set up the entire house keep with booby traps and lure them into various traps throughout the whole thing. And thus you've made a holiday RPG out of Home Alone. And it's a good time. People are going to get
Yes.
into it. They understand what the concept is. They understand how to do it, and then they get to be creative with it. And that leads into then like, okay, we're going to do this thing. Let's create some characters. So how do you
Yeah.
create characters?
Well, I'm sure you're going to tell me, Josh, but I could just read your notes and reiterate them.
These
How you
are
create your
just
characters?
my ideas. Like I was just throwing things
Also,
out.
okay, so here's how you create your characters. You should tell them the gist of your story, okay?
Mhm.
And then you have options. You could say basically sort of personify yourself and embellish yourself a little bit. So like you're going to play Josh, but Josh, doesn't need to be like a 1-to-1 representation of Josh. He can be stronger, smarter, faster than Josh is. Okay? So play yourself, but play it with like, if you're as though you're a superhero or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could do something like that. So it's a little bit more grounded in something you know. You could say like I think this is the disconnect with like how people perceive the games that they play, or one of the ones that like is there are two leaps that you have to make as somebody who's new to role playing. One is creating the character of the class and how you like get there, and like obviously motivation and all that stuff, and the other one is accepting of the story that's going to be told to you and understanding like the loose set of rules, but that are also strongly set within the game itself. And so, like, how you tell them to create a character is super important, which is kind of like why D&D is pretty good, because it's like,
Because it's well
oh,
defined. Yeah.
it's well defined as to what you want to create. So, like, tell me the trope that you want to play, and I'll help you create the character. That's probably what I would say to most people. And then this is the type of game we're going to be playing. It's so hard to give that to a new player and then expect them to want to create something for it, you
Mhm.
know? So like you're kind of stuck between a real rock and a hard place. But I guess tell me the trope you want to play and I'll help you create the character.
Yeah. I like that. I think that if you're going to do realistic characters, like, take Uncle Stu and have him create his own character sheet. Um, and, yes, you should actually bump whatever you think is your primary stat up just a little bit. Doesn't have to be, insane. You're not, Superman or whatnot. But I think it's always a good idea to have a flaw. Okay. If that's your big stat, then make your other stats lower, specifically because you're going to have a couple of people at this table. They're going to be playing, and it's really important that people have strengths and weaknesses so they can work together to accomplish goals. Also, it's more interesting if you're not the best at everything. And
Yes.
presenting it in that way is going to be like, oh, that's sure. We've got to have, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Makes sense. And creating a character trope, absolutely. I think, if Uncle Stu wants to be a wizard, you should let him. You should try and show him how to be a wizard. It's going to be low level. It's going to be simple. But I think that sort of power fantasy is like, if they want it,
you kind of want to give people that, if you're going to do the trope side of things, you kind of want to give some examples, like, because not everyone can be inspiration from nothing, which helps them choose, like, oh, that sounds interesting, I'll do that. Okay. The other one that I like on here that you've got, and I didn't even think about this, is the hardcore one, which is just, hey, you're going to let the dice choose what you become. Okay. That's actually probably the second best option on here for like new players.
I think it's a really great option because it's the I don't know what I want. I don't understand this game. I don't want to make these sort of decisions just yet. That's fine. You don't have to. Roll the dice. We'll put those numbers in. What does that say to you? This person's got really high dexterity, low strength, low wisdom. What is that person? Think about it, right? And they can sort of like embody what the numbers, rather than having to come up with something whole cloth when they've never done that before. And that is a really great way to try this sort of thing.
I mean, the alternative is to just pre-gen stuff for people, which I think in generally in introducing games, not a terrible idea. Because then it's very defined as to what you get. You can say, like, this type of person is really good at this, but not good at this. And this type of person is really good at this, but not good at this. And, it helps you bring that introduction really quick. So, like, giving people like the idea of like what are options to play and then what draws inspiration from a person. I think that's a great, a great alternative to the game.
And it would definitely save that D&D problem of taking an hour or so to create a character. Because you're like, oh, you want to be a wizard? Here's a wizard. Oh, you want to be
a lot of modules and a lot of games that are run in a convention are run with, pre-gen characters. Because you don't want to have that. Now, the problem with pre-gen characters is that you can't have everybody be the same. All right. That's true. But oftentimes there's a couple of pre-gen characters that are made, which again, you can't do this if you're going to introduce people to games. I'm going to tell you this right now. It doesn't work. So don't do it. Don't try it. Okay. This is a warning to everybody out there. Don't do it. You can't make the character that is like way underperformant of the other character. Like you can't have like Mr. Buff McBufferton and then Mr. Wizard McWizardton and then the girl who serves drinks at the bar. Okay, who has no skills. Okay, like that one doesn't fit. One of these things is not like the other thing.
The archmage, the martial artist, and the pet hamster. Like,
yes,
there's
yeah,
definitely
you can't do that. Okay, it like I understand how in a pre-gen game, all those characters, if you were telling and writing a novel, would be great. Okay,
Mhm.
it'd be wonderful because you can write the scenario into how the pet hamster fits into these situations and what kind of mischief they keep getting into. As a player, though, you're going to be like, I drew the short straw. I'm the pet hamster.
yeah, it's a bad time for a new player. An experienced player might be like, I got the hamster. Oh, this is gonna be hilarious. But that's we don't want. We want your players to have the not the full range of experience, but the positive range of experience, right? These people are new to the game. They need to get that hit of heroism, that hit of excitement that isn't going to come from a character that's underpowered when everybody around them is overpowered. It should be a
Yes.
level playing field. That's why I'm saying that each character should have a strength and each character should have a weakness, and the team that ends up at the table should be fairly balanced that way. That everybody has a specialty that they're good at that benefits the group.
Yes. And believe me, balance is hard in any situation. Balance is hard with two people. It's much more difficult with three people, and throw any more people in there, and then your balance gets all out of whack.
Yeah, it does. But give people bonuses or give people like, something they're good
Yes.
at and say like, you're good at X, you're good at Y. And I think your new players will get that real quick. One thing
Don't
I did want
play
to
the
talk
pet
about,
hamster as their first experience. Okay, it's just not a good idea.
they're good at getting inside the microwave. Um, the the one thing I want to talk about real quick with character creation and with new players, um, it's something that I saw in Daggerheart and I really liked it. I think I've seen it in some other games. Daggerheart's the most recent that popped in my head, is inventory. Okay. D&D is famous for having just like a plethora of items. Pathfinder does the same thing. Is you create a new character, you get the Dungeoneer's kit or the Explorer's kit or the Cartographer's kit. Here's your 80 items and what all gear that you're going to be connecting with. In Daggerheart and some of these other games, you get a bag of common items. And when you've got that sort of thing, if your player wants to do something with an item that seems like it'd be normal to have, they can pull it out of the bag of common items to a degree. This is where the storytelling comes in. This is the yes and sort of thing. You can't just, I reach into my bag of common items and I pull out a Glock. Maybe not. But we can, like you pull out a stick that you found that was shaped like a gun, and in the right light, you might be able to confuse somebody to think that it is a gun. You, you know, it is one of those where uh, you let the players sort of dictate what items they have or how they're going to approach the situation so that they aren't restricted by a giant list of like, I've got to go and read all these things. It's if you can think it, try it.
It's good for new players because the whole concept of like you don't know until you know what you need is really true here for new players, which is if you ask them to fill out an inventory, they're gonna go, well, what the heck should I put on there? And I don't know. And like you can give them some examples, they put them down, and then you'd be like, okay, it's time to go here, and you're like, well, do you have a rope? No, I didn't write that down. Oh, well, sorry, rope.
Do you have a torch? No, the room is dark. You can't see anything.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to do that to somebody who's new at the game. Common items, for whatever setting you're in. This is obviously more of a fantasy setting here. You have a rope, probably. Yeah, it's in my common items. I have rope. Do you have a torch?
Mhm.
Yeah, of course I do, because it gets dark.
There's a rusty door that's going to alert everybody when you try and open it. Well, I reach in my common items, I pull out some butter and like grease the hinges. Yeah, you can do that. You don't have to be like, did you buy butter at the town?
Did you
No.
buy the requisite amount of rations to bring with you? Did you write butter down on your sheet?
I mean, it's a
Have you
big door.
consumed
It's
that
going to take a
already?
lot of butter. How many pounds of butter do you have? No, none of that is necessary.
No.
You let them sort of come up with it. The other thought I had, which would be fun, this is one of those no players sort of things. So I'm assuming that you're playing it at a family or a friend's holiday party and you know these people and they're like, are they into it? Would be let people have whatever items they can run and grab in like 30 seconds. So like if somebody wants to butter some hinges, you better make it to the kitchen and back in 30 seconds with some butter. And then you can butter some hinges. You need a fork to pick a lock? Find one. You're looking for, a lamp in the darkness? Go get me a lamp. And I think this is fun to like make it a little physical, to get a little bit of people involved and think about like what's in my immediate environment rather than what's on a character sheet. And that can be a fun little interesting game. This is about having a good time. And this is definitely something like if the people you're playing with would think that this is hilarious and would enjoy it, try it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm all for that. Because again, part of the whole concept here is that the thing that's gonna get them hooked is whether they like the it's not going to be the high fantasy or anything like that. It's going to be whether or not they like the puzzle solving or the kind of banter back and forth that gets them to solve the problems in your game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's exactly why.
The combat is kind of whatever. Combat, you either love it, you hate it, you accept it's there. Okay. And I'm not saying that you can't. Most games have some form of combat, but a lot of the game outside of the combat is that like the ambiguous puzzle solving. It's like you're playing a puzzle game and you're just trying to figure out like the best way to solve those answers, those puzzles, and like do things within the game.
Yeah, that's why we were talking earlier about the theme. Make it a happy theme. I think that it should be lighthearted. I think that you should lean into jokes, puns, reward people for making jokes that are in game. I'm kind of leaning to the almost no combat. There should be combat. I'm not saying there shouldn't because that is part of a game, and you might have some characters that are some players that are combat oriented.
The golden
But I
rule is you
think,
must have combat once a night. Okay, I'm going to
yeah,
tell everybody this. It's the
but
golden rule.
once is enough.
Yes. Yes, it is the golden rule. You want to get into a situation where you've drawn initiative, you feel the heat of the battle. It doesn't have to last very long. You got to do it once a night.
Yeah, but once is enough, especially for new players. And if that is the like, if it's the final boss, like they've tricked their way into the keep and they've cornered the big bad boss, and the boss banters with them and then attacks, then that's fine. That's your combat. That's the big event.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be much. It just has to be once a night. It literally could be like a quick 2-second fight. Okay. You threw down some initiative, somebody threw a punch, knocked somebody out, the end. Okay. But it's still your combat. Okay.
Mhm.
People love combat in role playing, as a lot of people do. People who tend to like the games tend to like combat. And that is that's one thing I would strongly suggest is to add combat just about once a night.
A lot of the systems are like written around combat. You remember we did that whole retrospective, I mean, like, what, a couple hundred episodes ago, about where D&D came originally from war games. So there's a lot of that baked in. But like you're saying before, puzzles, social situations, those things are the role-playing part.
Yes.
And I think holiday parties are great for this sort of thing, especially if there's little kids, because you're going to have little kid games and puzzles and stuff like that. So if you are doing a storytelling session at the holidays with family or friends doing these new puzzles, break out the Simon Says. That's how you're going to open up the big door. Break out the kids like 12-piece giant block puzzles for toddlers, and that's how you're going to solve the mystery of the mosaic tile patterns. Or you can use some of the toys that people are getting for Christmas or for Hanukkah or for anything, and just have a fun time with them at the table. Incorporate them into your storytelling.
It's a glorious feast and a ham eating contest, and now you have to have a ham eating contest.
Like, give them cookies for healing. Like, just incorporate what's going on around you into the game. But yes, ham eating contest sounds fun too. There's something about physical puzzles, handouts, things that people can do at the table that sort of breaks from the, it's not just all theater of the mind. Sometimes it's, a physical handout or something that you can work with. And especially for new players that aren't used to doing everything, theater of the mind, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
What about role playing? What about doing social situations?
Again, you want to encourage. So all this is about encouraging and allowing people to do it. Understand that you're not going to get everybody who's like in love with this. I'm actually thinking about our Friendsgiving that's coming up. And I'm like, boy, if we tried this at the Friendsgiving, like there's a bunch of us who have played who would enjoy it. There's some of us who have never played, and there's some people who I think would go along to get along because it's fun and they do it. But I don't think that they would come away with it with like a desire or a want to continue to play it. Okay, that's my assumption. Okay, I'm making grand assumptions there, but I think people would still play, go along to get along, and do it. And I think a lot of how you encourage the role playing or like the aspect of that at the table when you're introducing this is how animated and how much how fun you get with it. Because think about it like this. Okay, let's say that we aren't playing a role-playing game. Let's say we're playing charades. Okay? Not everybody likes to act. Not everybody likes to do charades. Okay? But people try it and still do their best or ish when they play the game. And so if everyone's agreed to play charades, okay, role-playing is a lot like charades.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, if you do it, and if it's light and it's fun, it's not serious, you're not Elgor the Dragon King, and you've called upon your warriors and blah blah blah. Okay, instead you are Santa, okay, or Mrs. Claus putting out a missive to go save her husband from the evil gnomes. Okay, there's more incentive to play along with that because it's a little campy and a little bit fun. Okay. And thus you feel better about playing charades.
Yeah. I think the more buy-in you get from some of your players, the more buy-in you'll get from the rest of them. And it all starts with you. Which is why that sort of introduction to the story is so important. You've laid the scene, you explain things, you've got that little flavor text where you sort of describe what's going to happen, And then you go directly into pick your best player. Pick the person that's like the most excited about this and have them introduce themselves to everyone else. Give them sort of a guide, like say, give us your physical characteristics, what you're wearing, um, how you'd like to introduce yourself, and then tell everybody what is the one thing that you most desire, what your character most desires to accomplish. And like when they get into this sort of thing, you don't have to go that complicated, obviously, but when they get into this sort of thing, that first, like you've told your story, you've set the stage, like I'm going to give some detail, and then you pick that first person that's excited. Now you, and then as you go around, you get buy-in. You get people that are interested, that are like, "Oh, we're doing this. We're going for it." And that level of energy that you create at that point, I hate to say it, but you're going to have to keep that up for the entirety of the story. So you have to like, this is the part where you go from I know these people to I know these players. And KYP is very important. And this is where you learn it. I think that once you've created that sort of expectation of we're going to go for this, we're going to explain what's happening, you can then keep that level as you move forward. I think that we talked about, you don't need a lot of fights, at least one. Doesn't need more than that, but you can have them. But I think a lot of that first situation, you should have social puzzles, answering riddles, convincing characters to do a thing, NPCs that you have discussions with or scare or whatnot. I think that encouraging players to work together to solve things is super useful. And I don't mean like, here's a door, you guys talk amongst yourselves to figure out how to get past it, but things like if you got a combat with a knight that's got a big shield, he blocks all of the attacks, but he's frightened easily. So if somebody goes and scares him, he drops his shield, and the other person can punch him in the face. That's just a nice little way to have like two people be involved in a situation, and they have to work together to make something happen. But it could be like levers or wheels that need to be turned in sync. So they got to work on something, maybe to raise a platform with the other characters on it. And if they don't turn it right together, then the fall over and people fall. Or buttons that are out of reach for one person, but you get somebody on another person's shoulders and you play chicken to hit the buttons. It doesn't have to be super complicated. They just have to come up with these sort of situations. They have to come up with these solutions together and work for things. And whenever your players start working together, reward them.
Yeah. I'm again, the reward here is not just like, heaps of riches and all this sort of stuff on the players. No, it's the encouragement that they need to continue to do the stuff you want them to do.
Also, holiday cookies.
And holiday cookies. You can bribe a lot of people with holiday cookies.
Like, somebody does something good, you just hand them a cookie and they're like, "Oh, that's wonderful." You don't even have to get
into this game. They rolled me out of there.
Like, I think that's just a really nice, like, if we're doing this the holidays, utilize the environment you're in. I think this should go for any game. Like, if you're doing this in the basement on a Thursday with some friends in the middle of the year, look around you and see what you can incorporate. But still,
yes,
it's good. Throughout the story, I do want to stress anytime players work together, give them that encouragement, give them that bonus. If they work together to solve a puzzle, absolutely. this first game for these players, for these people, you want to give them that special hit of dopamine, of happiness that we have gotten from telling complicated stories. From simple stories, give them hero moments. Think about what those characters they've created are and give them opportunities to shine. And when they step up, reward them for that. And try and make sure that everybody at the table gets one.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. You again, you want to give them the same level of enjoyment that you would give to your long-term players, and your goal is to leave people with a good impression. Maybe not that they're going to walk away from this saying, I want to play every week in your game, but hey, next holiday, I'm down to play another, kooky holiday mystery game or whatever we're going to end up doing. Like, I'm willing to make this like a thing we do on the holidays, or one of them, or when we get together. It's a thing that you want to have there. And so the more you can do to reward the gameplay, show the kind of fun that comes out of it, I think the better success you're going to have on the other end of it.
Yeah. I think that the last thing I want to say would be about setting a goal. Obviously, your story can't just go on and on and on and on. You want to give people hero moments. You want to give them puzzles they can work with. You want to show a little bit of combat. You want to have like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't want to have it last, 8 hours, unless
this
your players
type of thing
really
that you actually want to end.
Yeah,
like within the evening. You can't let this be like, okay, we'll pick this up next week, guys.
No, your story needs to have a goal. It needs to be accomplished within that night. And you want to make your players feel like they've accomplished something, because the hero moments, the working together, the role play, all of that is absolutely imperative to get them enjoying this. But people remember how something started and how something ended and how it made them feel. So the start was obviously, telling the intro, having them introduce the characters, the ease of creating characters. The ending is going to be just as important. You should set a goal in your story. Rescue Santa from the gnomes. Defeat the trolls that are, sacking the castle. Definitely kill the Grinch. But whatever it was, you set that goal and you get there. And I don't think it's necessary to railroad your players. It is their first time. They should have some agency. Have them come up with whatever plan that they want to and work with it. It's sort of a yes and, as long as they think legal. So you can get them there. You can have that final showdown. You can make them win. And then, it wraps it all up. It gives them that feeling. It shows all the fun things that we like about role playing, and hopefully makes some people that are interested in doing it again.
Yeah, I agree. You already said this is your last point, Josh, so I'm not actually going to ask you this time if you have anything else you want to add to it, because you already did. So.
I mean, it really is one of those situations where, like, you may know the people you're going to be offering this to, but you don't know what sort of gamers they are until they get into it.
It's very true.
People can surprise you.
So that's going to wrap us up for the week. If you are listening to this during the holidays, give it a go. Let us know how it goes. levelupgamingpodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupgaming. Have you done this before? The podcast is also on YouTube, so you can listen to it there. If that's your listening medium, you can smash the like button, subscribe there, or we're on all your favorite podcasting sites. So review the podcast, recommend it, subscribe to it, tell a friend, all those good things. And that'll wrap us up for the week. So for Josh, I'm Aaron. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.